Hi guys, I'm back after like 3 or 4 months. I've been working on this for the past 3 months, and I haven't been uploading since then. I uploaded only once, but that was a video for school, if anyone saw that. And so I'm just completing the Endgame project right now, with the addition of Spider-Man's new suit from Far From Home, which I may or may not update. Depends, but yeah. Everything here is completely new. Nothing's old. So yeah. Mainly I didn't upload because of the COPPA laws thing that just happened. So I wasn't working on these as much as I was because of other stuff. But yeah, I got them done. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into this final end game. First up, Captain America, and yeah, this figure is way different from the earlier version, and I was gonna actually showcase this version again because I made some changes to this design, like the back, for example. And this is what happens when you use gloss paint, so I'm recommending to not use that. So I just decided to change the entire thing. And the helmet, yeah, this has a lot of 3D elements. So first off, we have this shield that I painted, and then the back of it is all painted up too. Then I used this is not an official Lego helmet. This is from a knockoff company that made brown ones that came with a knockoff of the Spider-Man, Spider-Ham figure. And yeah, so I painted the whole thing silver. It actually was empty in the bottom, so you could see the crease where it was all in. So yeah. And so we're moving this though, so we can get a closer look at the figure. So I would start off with the helmet. The helmet is entirely painted. Nothing is printed onto this helmet. And I made two different colors, a dark color and then a lighter color, which is the primary color. And then, yeah, we take the helmet off. You could see that I put a head under there with a 3D neck brace thing. And that head actually came from this knockoff right here, which I tried copying some of the designs off of. So that was really cool. I almost used the helmet, but then the helmet was way too huge. And I just decided to use this helmet, the official Lego one, even though I only had one. But yeah. And then putting the helmet back on. This takes a while to do. But yeah, here. I'll just take that off for now. But you could see here that what I did was I kept a lot of the designs accurately, and then if I pull the minifigure apart, you could see that I made this entire thing, nothing is sculpted on here at all, and this is all 3D layered. The only thing the only thing sculpted is the star, and that's about it. Then 3D elements on the arms, and I did not paint the scales onto those arms, but I did put the arm pads onto the arms, and then the back, it has 3 layers. The first layer, the second layer is where you could see this other light blue line, and then the straps, which go all the way around and are actually one entire piece. And then I did paint the scales onto the front, and then I did copy this design to put on here so it can make his stomach area where the stripes are. And then here we have the belt buckle, which I put little tiny buckles onto it. And I painted the big buckle. And I didn't want to make this look uneven, so I just put a piece of cardstock onto it to make the actual line itself, and then yeah, the back is like that. And then this is probably the hardest part to do with the boots. And so yeah, I also wanted to make a face that also looks like Captain America from the movie, but I kind of wanted to move on with my life and do other stuff. And oh yeah, I did paint the finger flesh tones that he has on in the movie. So yeah, there's Captain America and Lego in my showcases one last time, and I might do another Captain America next year for the new game that came out. So yeah, Iron Man in the Mark 85, and this was one of the hardest figures that I had to do. But starting off though, the one thing that I did not paint on this figure would be the back wings, and these actually came from a knockoff seller, which made their own Lego Mark 85 Iron Man suit, and I actually took this as inspiration for when I make my own. And so yeah, this piece came with this figure, and nothing on it is painted by me. It was all printed on. So yeah, Iron Man, who died in Endgame. Anyways, if you've seen the movie, you'll know that happens. So yeah. Anyways, so I made the other part of this that I did not print or paint is the face that I put on Tony Stark, and I used the older one because it looks more accurate and looks much more like Tony Stark than the newer ones. And then I painted all the dash of blood on this side, and then all the cuts. And then I painted in the HUD. It's the same design that I used for the rescue in the last Endgame showcase. So pretty cool there. And then beginning with the helmet, this was probably one of the hardest things to do, to actually get the silver right. And I was mixing my own colors and then smoothed it out after I sanded the whole thing. I mean, not even, these circles weren't even here. I had to sand all of it down so I could paint it, and I tried to remember where the circles on the helmet right here were. So yeah. And then I sculpted a minimal amount onto the chest and to the arms. And then the hands are not painted, but I painted everything up, and then I painted the arc reactor. It's probably the best arc reactor that I've painted to date. And the legs were pretty time consuming to do, and then extends all the way around. And right there, no detail in the insides of the legs because you're not going to be able to see them. And I did paint onto the top of the helmet too. And then I painted on to one of his hands to make the nano gauntlet. And even though that I wanted to make the one from the final moment where he snapped, I actually went off of the Hot Toys figure and did it then. So yeah, Iron Man. And yeah, and I would say that this is probably one of my favorite figures to date, like right next to Captain America or any of the other Avengers. It's just one of the best figures that I have made to this date. Also, before we end off this section, I did end up making a Tony Stark hairpiece, and then I did that dash of blood too that you couldn't see earlier. And yeah. And then when he has this, when I don't want him to have this head on, here, if I could get the hairpiece off, I did make a normal Tony Stark head from Endgame. And yeah, I painted the beard too, and then I repainted the eyebrows and mustache. And then also, just to show here, I also prepared a makeshift Tony Stark with, and no, I did not buy the, Stranger Things set. I got the set at Build Your Own minifigure at the Lego store. I I made this quick little rendition of Tony Stark for when he does, and stay tuned for the end where I'm gonna show most of my figures one last time, and then yeah, and I can't believe that it was it for him in Endgame, and then yeah, and then I just got recent news that that Robert Downey Jr. will be on a What If show, and yeah, so Thor is next up, and one thing you can immediately see is that I used a knockoff hair and a knockoff beard for this figure, and I made that choice going in. So first things first, we'll talk about this. The Stormbreaker is actually also a knockoff thing. There, I used a ton of knockoff stuff in this video, so yeah, you will be seeing that. And then yeah, so I really like this. And then also before I forget, the Iron Man suit. This was actually the attempt, but yeah, this is a victim of gloss paint. So yeah, not good. Yeah, this is an excellent piece, and it, I wanted to make a picture where Dora is actually making that go past Captain Marvel, but this is way too big, and but it's fine. So taking off his head, you can see that these are two capes, a knockoff. It's a knockoff cape, just two capes glued together with very strong glue, and then yeah, you just put it on normally, and nothing on the back for people who wanted to know what was on the back. And yeah, so this is actually accurate now. It is now accurate. And whatever I was trying to do with this, because even though that I said this was fat, from if you put it at an angle, it looks more like he has a lot of muscle than fat. So yeah, that wasn't a decision that I wanted to do to showcase the figure. But yeah, and then the arms are painted up by me. And those are not Lego gunmetal arms. I actually painted the gunmetal, and then I didn't want to paint like the chainmail arms. And then I also I sculpted the little cuffs that go around his arms. And then I painted his boots and then the little lines on his legs. And this is a very simple figure to do. It didn't take that long to make. And then also the last thing I want to end off with is that you could see that one of the eyes are gold to represent the eye that Rocket gave to him. And then he has a little scar right there too. So yeah. And that's Thor one last time. And if it goes back in focus, maybe it'll work. Yeah. Black Widow, and to get one thing straight, I used this hairpiece, and even though that's not accurate, I just got one in blonde and then painted the red. And then I used the Jyn Erso face and painted the neck in black. You can see how much damage that there is on this figure already. So, and then the batons are just normal lightsaber batons. So, letting these go. We could talk about the entire figure itself. The top of it has this. Let's see. It has these straps because I didn't want to make 3D elements that small, and I just painted onto them. So, yeah, this figure is highly inspired by the one that Michael MGF made. You could go check his out he hasn't done the showcase yet. So, yeah. First starting with the back, and then I outlined everything is just painted in black, and then I outlined everything in gray. So it was pretty easy to do that. And the arms, I made 3D elements, I freehanded them, and then put them on there. They actually look really good. Same thing with the tasers. they're just basic rectangular shape, and then I did the strap with the red, and that was pretty straightforward. And then the one thing I had to scrap this version because this is another victim of gloss paint, and also kind of concept art, if you could tell, because of the legs. Just because of the legs, yeah. So, yeah. That's the old Black Widow, and then I made a 3D belt, and, this is gonna be hard to do, but, yeah, as you can see, I made a 3D belt out of a Lego waste cake, and this is a regular Lego waste cake. So, here, if I could put that right there to make it focus. And let's see if it can focus. But yeah, the little Black Widow symbol is painted onto there. And, yeah. So yeah, that's what's, and then with that off, you can see that I made the gun holsters out of some cardstock, and then the strap goes all the way around, because I didn't want to actually make the strap, because then I wouldn't be able to take off the legs ever again. So yeah, this figure is, I would say, 100% accurate to how it looks in the movie. And then yeah, and then I also painted the boots onto there, as you can see, and they do wrap around, even in the middle of it. And then yeah, so yeah, and I finished this like a week right after the Black Widow trailer came out. So yeah, I'll probably be making that suit in the future. I already have a base for it, but yeah, I'm gonna wait until the movie comes out. So yeah, let's move on to Ronin. Probably one of the best figures that I have made in this video so far, for this video so far. And so, beginning with the hood, I took this is not, well, the piece was originally from Lego, but to explain, if you're an Ninjago fan and you know what the time and traveling season is, you'll know that one of the Time Twins had a hood. I just took it from that and then carved the entire thing out and to make it that, and then I carved the entire, you can't really see it, but I carved the entire of the hood out. So yeah, and then I put Procreate to sculpt the thing, and then even though that there's some scratches here, that I could still put the helmet on. I mean, the hood. And then yeah. So yeah, it's just a regular Hawkeye head from what's it called? Age of Ultron. Because I think that's the best likeness that he has. That's the best face. And then his sword is just a regular Lego katana, but I cut the top off of a black one and cut the bottom off of a silver, glued together. Got his katana. So yeah, and then as we move on to the main figure, if you watch Ninjago, they had this armor on in season 6. I just cut that up and then put it on here. And so yeah, and this is my third version of Hawkeye that I've done, because I've made this comic book one that wasn't even accurate. I mean, it's still not even accurate, but yeah. And then I improved on it by making this Hawkeye for the original Endgame showcase. But this whole figure is a victim of a concept art. So yeah, never trust concept art. So yeah, and then the arms have 3D elements. The whole front and back is one 3D element, and then the shoulder pauldrons were probably the hardest 3D elements to make. I mean, the painting process was easy. It's just that getting him to stay like that was the harder part. And then, as you can see on the legs, I did his guards, and then his knife holster down here. I'll use the sword to point, and the sword can clip his hand right there, just like that. And so yeah, he could be like that, and then here, and then so yeah. With the hood carved out, even though that there's some scratches here, the whole rest of the head does not get scratched, which is good. So yeah, and then I've stopped using gloss paint to make the areas that I want shiny. So I use satin paint, and then instead of outlining with gloss paint, I use just dark gray paint, and I think it was the better way to go around, cause yeah. And then as we get this other head out of the way, I will show you the unmasked head. And this is similar to the one that I did earlier, but an entirely new color scheme. So yeah. And then also, because he technically wears two suits in the movie, being as careful as I can be. Here. I'm putting this sword back in. I made his entire other torso that he uses for the second half of the film. So he could still wield the sword, but I decided to make his bow and arrow, which is just a regular Lego bow, painted silver in some areas. And yeah, I didn't want to paint this part silver. So yeah, of the bow, the bow holster. So yeah, and I just gave him a basic Lego arrow, so you can do that. And then I painted this entire hand. Nothing could go on top of this hand, but stuff can go into it, like that. And then I made the arm guards out of duct tape. They did the same thing for Black Widow. And then as you could see, the little arm pads right there. I actually did that on Captain America earlier. So yeah. And then I paint the gold was probably the hardest thing to paint from this figure. So yeah. And after Phase 4 was announced, I mean, he was supposed to have his own movie back in like Phase 2, although that never happened. So yeah, we get to see him in the Disney Plus show instead. So yeah. And that's Hawkeye. Now let's move on to Iron Patriot War Machine. And also one of Rhodey's last suits. So to get started, the whole thing is entirely painted. And then I'm going to turn on the light for the rest of the video. I outlined everything on his helmet in gloss paint, even though I say that it's not good. Yeah. I painted the silver extending, and then the War Machine face mask opens up so you can see the HUD. This is the same HUD design that almost the same HUD design that I put into Iron Man's. So kind of cool there. And as you could see, I use the Endgame War Machine head, and I made this option going in because it kind of does look like him if he's smiling. And then with this hairpiece, it makes it perfect, and it does make it look like him. So yeah, and then before we go any further, just like Tony Stark, I made an alternative body for him. This is how he looks in Infinity War. And yeah. But yeah, like what I said. So yeah. Anyways, here I sanded down this so it could be the same size as an Iron Man minifigure. I painted up this whole thing except for the back. That's the only thing I didn't paint. And I painted it as accurately as I could. And these stars were probably my favorite part of this whole design. And then on the arm, there is silver painted onto it. Even though that I couldn't fit 0, 0. Actually, wait, hold on, wait, no. That doesn't come until later. So, yeah. And then I painted onto the belt, which was very easy to paint, I would say. It's not one of the difficult paint jobs that I've done. And on this arm, it's painted the same. And then for the legs, it's a circle, and then the two lines, it's supposed to kind of be like this right here. I'm getting all this out of the way. So we could talk about the legs, just the legs. So I outlined everything in black, and then, as you know, not black, dark gray. And yeah. And then 006. You might think that's a 900, but no. It's 006 for the Mark 6 War Machine. And then, even though that this has the armor silver on it, it extends down to right there. I mean, I didn't paint the back because I couldn't really see what was on his back. So, yeah. There's War Machine. And probably one of the best Iron Man suits that I have ever made. And one of my favorite figures that I have made. I mean, the War Machine that I made last year at this time was just really bad. So, yeah. And this is a complete upgrade from that crappy Infinity War one that I tried to do last year. So, there's War Machine. And now let's move on to Iron Patriot. Let's move that forward a little. So, beginning with the helmet, it's the same. It's actually, this entire thing is using knockoff pieces. And then the helmet is not even officially Legos. I mean, the only thing I didn't paint was the red on it. And then the knockoff head, I meant to put something else on under there. But yeah. We'll just have War Machine in the back right there. But yeah. So this is probably one of the greatest helmets that I've painted on an Iron Man suit. And just like that, I have an Iron Patriot Mark II sculpted torso. And this is not too many O's. And then this gun that's on here. And it's accurate. But the only thing is I didn't paint on this figure were this torso and then the legs. Because I did not want to paint the legs. I just wanted to paint the armor pieces that came on the legs. So yeah. And then here we talk about this arm, and we'll remove one of the gauntlets. This gauntlet was an entirely new piece with a little gun on it, and I decided to use these dark red hands for it because it is accurate. And then you could see that I have the design painted all over this arm gauntlet. And then the first thing I did was paint everything in a base color of royal blue. Then I painted metallic blue over that. And then, I mean, for these pieces I painted on black before I did the other colors. I'm talking about like the red and silver. But yeah. And then as you could see, that its torso is entirely painted with, and it has a lot of detail sculpted into it. And yeah. So, yeah, putting that back on. And then this. We'll take off one of the legs so I could show you what is on it. So I painted the entire thing in blue and then painted black to paint these other sections. Like the red. And then the silver. And it's still movie accurate. But yeah. there is War Machine in his last suit. This was in the movie for like, I don't know what, 30 seconds. Just count, and I honestly wanted to see what this thing could do in Endgame. After I saw it, hey, he come out of the rubble where Hulk and the others were trapped in. I wanted to see the action that he would be fighting with this suit, but of course we didn't get that, and the top is painted. And also, I didn't decide to paint a HUD in this one because I didn't really see it. I mean, we saw for this one, but not for this one. So yeah, Rhodey's suits one last time, and that's about it for this part of the video. Let's move on to two figures, and then so this is probably a figure that you did not expect in the showcase. It is Morgan Stark, and the entire base is Maisie from the Jurassic World set. Everything is the same on this figure, except for the hair. I just grabbed a dark red hair, the same one that was used on Black Widow, and then painted it entirely brown because I think this actually does look like the daughter of Tony Stark. So yeah, I have Rescue, but I don't have it with me at the moment. So that's pretty much straightforward, regular legs, and then this, these red arms. There, nothing on this figure is painted except for this hairpiece. So yeah, just wanted to clarify that. But yeah, it kind of does look like her a little bit. So let's move on to the unexpected. A figure that you probably did not expect in the showcase. I mean, you saw it. It's not going to be on the thumbnail though for this video. So yeah, here is a Spider-Man Far From Home suit. The reason you can see some shine in the black is because it's gloss paint. That's before I made that rule that I can't use it anyways. So this head is the first time I attempted to paint webbing all over it. I mean, it wasn't easy. It wasn't at all. I mean, I did better with this PS4 suit, which is coming in a future showcase in 2020. Honestly, this looks better than this. But you don't need to know that. So this is an entire black torso. I painted the entire parts that needed to be red. Then this white spider symbol is probably one of my favorite parts of this whole thing. And then I painted the cuff areas like that. I mean, the webbing on the arms is probably where the webbing stands out the most. And then the rest of it, yeah. So, yeah. Not really much to say. This movie came out a while ago. But yeah, I'm meaning to do a showcase of him. So I just decided I'd throw him in here. And, yeah. And then, by the way, the eyes were painted in metallic white, whereas these ones were painted in normal white. But yeah, this showcase will be coming in the future. It's the PS4 suit. So yeah, and also hopefully there's a future for this channel. Hopefully. Here for this showcase, Thanos, one of the most detailed figures that I have made in this showcase. I mean, they're all detailed except for like Thor. But yeah, beginning with the base of this, it was a Lego Thanos. But then I sculpted onto the chest so it could fill in the crease part. And then that's the only sculpting that I did for this part. I filled it in with clay. And then we'll take the arms off for now and then talk about them separately. But this entire helmet is made out of cardstock. The same stuff that I used to make the 3D elements on figures. And then the face is probably one of the better faces that I have painted to date. And then painting on whatever I saw for the Hot Toys figures onto this figure. And this back piece right here, this gold detail is one of my favorite parts of this big fig. I don't know why. But the main point of detail all happens in the chest. And that was the smallest lines that I've ever attempted to paint. And then you can see I got some detail in the black. Little skirt piece thing right there. And then this side piece is actually sculpted so it can't flap up like this back piece or this front skirt piece. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Yeah, I got gold details on that, and then I painted the boots the exact same way that they are. So, yeah. Now, with the right arm, he has the one of these shoulder padded things, and then that goes onto the side of his arm, and then the other little thing that goes on the lower part, which is in the wrist area. So yeah, and then we could talk about the left arm. I sculpted this part the same, but the gauntlet is painted up and everything with the stones, and the stones are actually made out of clay that I then put some metallic paint on them so they could have a shine, so I wouldn't just have normal paint on them. And then you could see I painted it in brass, and then the entire thing has gold outlines on it, including the rivets on them. But yeah, and that's pretty much it for this showcase. My next showcase will be on the Joaquin Phoenix Joker. I finished this a while ago. And yeah, without further ado, let's wrap this video up. And I'll try to upload more. And as you can see, I put all the endgame sets in one section with a ton of Outriders. I scattered throughout this. Deadpool here because he is part of the MCU. And then the rest of my figures that I have were from previous showcases, like the Captain Marvel, the Nebula, the Gamora from the previous showcase. Then here. Then Korg and Meek. And then that one guy from Black Panther. And back there, the little Avengers set with the Wasp on it. I mean, there's some figures in there that you could see. If I try shining the light, maybe it'll be better. So you can see people like Star-Lord and then Ant-Man sitting down on the table, and then Wanda right there. And then something that was not, and then the Quantum Realm suits. Something that was not showcased earlier is this Quantum Realm suit that I made. So yeah. Kind of the same as Legos. And then the Hulk Buster builds. As you can see, here is Steve and Bucky. And Natasha and Ronan. Then here is Thor down there. And then the Hollow Armor with Rescue. Still has the head in there. And then the Silver Centurion Bone, Mark 30, 41 Bones, Mark 1. I'm thinking of putting my own Mark 1 in there. And then the Mark 5, and then my newest one right here. And then Tony is at the main desk with Spider-Man and his daughter Morgan by his side. But yeah, I mean, yeah. And so, like I said, my next figure will be Joker. You can see him down there. But yeah, that's it.